hello there! The UK government has decided to line their own pockets and the pockets of the elite and the corrupt instead of helping deal with the energy crisis. So I got these little Christmas lights inside of a Santa glass. Can't really make out it's Santa because, yeah, it's quite bright. But it helps save the pennies. Yeah, things are bad. But you know what isn't bad? We've had lots of great games this year, yes! Oh my god, this is like a top 40 video. Welcome to the best games of 2022. As always, this is my list and my opinions. I haven't played every game this year, so sorry, Elden Ring will not be in the video. But I can see any one of the games on this list being someone's favourite for different reasons, because they are all amazing. We've got 30 games, plus plenty of honourable mentions to talk about, so let's get going. Which is more annoying, the Rabbids or the minions? Well, the minions have integrated itself into popular culture and won't go away like a leech that's a little too desperate, whereas the Rabbids just show up every so often and actually end up in games that are genuinely great. Oh, so that answers that then. Mario plus Rabbids sadly isn't on this list as I haven't played it, but did you know there was a second Rabbids game this year? Rabbids Party of Legends is such a fun party game. Some of its minigames are clearly inspired by others that have come before it, but with twists. Like, I love counting Rabbids and then every so often a super cute normal rabbit shows up. But then there are minigames like this where you're tangled up and you have to rotate the Joy-Con to unravel. It's surprising a minigame of this caliber hasn't been made before. At least, certainly not one this, I guess, realistic? It feels real. This game is all sorts of silly, which is what you should expect from the Rabbids. But it's not cringe silly, it's got some genuinely good jokes. Unlike this video. The great thing about that joke is you either laughed at it, in which case I've done my job well, or you agreed with it, and I've got you on board to keep watching, so it's a win-win for me. Souldiers is the best Metroidvania since Hollow Knight. That's a statement I made when I played a demo that the developers provided for me a couple months before launch. The demo was pretty substantial as it contained around 5 hours of gameplay and all of it was amazing. The art style is gorgeous, the gameplay fluid, and it is ballsy to open up with a cave full of spiders as your first level. Now, here's the thing. Souldiers is a great game, but beyond that demo, there were gameplay decisions I personally didn't like, and it had a couple glitches here and there that made the experience disappointing at times. I'm pretty sure they've addressed all of the issues by now since they did release patches for the game, but I haven't played the patched version. If I had played the patched version without the issues I mentioned, I could honestly see it being really high on this list, so it's absolutely worth your time if it interests you. Unknown Number, a first-person talker. This game is genuinely amazing. You get called accidentally by people who are trying to commit a heist, and what ensues is a puzzle game revolving entirely around your voice. Oh Christ, what is this? To do the bidding of the movement. To take down the establishment. What the fuck? To sacrifice all that I am.
Oh my god, what?
I am in this till the end. Oh, fuck off. Fuck you.
What the heck?
I am in this till the end. Yes.
Great. Although I think she might be a little higher.
Yes.
This is so funny.
Mr. Krabs, I have an idea.
A little birdie sent me something of yours.
Whatever the cost, I will answer the call. As you can tell, we had a really great time with this. There are games that have utilised your voice before, but nothing like this. I was so genuinely invested, and just found it so fun. If this is just the beginning of this trend of games, I can't wait to see where it leads. Kao The Kangaroo is back! Kao is one of those early 2000s platformers that was fun, but never got the recognition it deserved. Like Gex. Bring back Gex, you cowards! Now, Kao gets one more shot in the modern era to try and convince you that he can be relevant. I'm inclined to say he succeeds. I don't know if there are plans to make more Kao games, but I certainly hope so. Kao has more than proved he deserves his place in the ring. KO isn't the only one who's back. Klonoa 1 and 2 were remade for Klonoa Phantasy Reverie series. I hadn't played Klonoa before this, but it's easy to see why it became such a classic for so many. Even simple things like jumping has its own flair. You jump normally, but you can use the power of a ring to take small enemies and either chuck them at someone or something else, or you can send them to the Earth's core to get a tiny bit of height. Such a simple concept, but one that's really fun and actually has a lot of depth. Just like the journey to the Earth's core. You know it's been a good year for games when Gran Turismo 7 is this low down on the list. At this point you're thinking, oh dear, what's wrong with it? Honestly, nothing really. It's great to play a new Gran Turismo game. It's got all the hallmarks of a great Gran Turismo. It takes the best bits of Gran Turismo Sport, improved on them, and added so many new features whilst feeling nostalgic as it felt like it borrowed elements from Gran Turismo 4. I said at the beginning that I could see any game on this list being someone's favourite, and I stand by it. It is an amazing game. There are just so many other amazing games this year. A little to the left might be the most satisfying game of all time. You solve organisational puzzles. That's it. I'm aware that some of you are in a state of euphoria just looking at it, but I can change that into genuine anger if I move one thing slightly out of place. Nah, I'm not that cruel. Tell you what's great though, like the Professor Layton games, there's a daily puzzle so you can start your day off with something relaxing. I love these developers. Lunistice is such a good time. Stunning stylized art style, a fun soundtrack, and funner gameplay. It's not a very long game at around 3 to 4 hours or so, but I loved every second. That's what happens when you make a game with perfect controls and level design tailored to everything I love in a platformer. Also, Lunistice is only £5, so you have no reason not to pick it up. What happens when you take an adorable dog and give it a grappling hook? Oh god, no, I can't show that. Oh, that's horrible. Oh wait, no, it's just an awesome 2D platformer. Grapple Dog feels quintessentially indie, one that will be talked about in many years' time that has a simple concept executed to perfection. But like those that came before it, just because it's a simple concept does not make it easy. This game gets super hard, and I welcomed and endured that challenge. You could argue the hardships made me stronger, but if anything it made me fragile because it broke me at times in the post-game. Thanks for that, I actually really genuinely love it. Oh, Bandai Namco, you are spoiling us! Klonoa and Pac-Man World Re-PAC? I wish I grew up with this. Just like Klonoa, I hadn't played the original. I can see why a bunch of friends had insisted I play it for years. I definitely want to play the others now if they're half as good as this. But what does Re-PAC bring to the dot maze? Actually, quite a lot. The bosses in the original game were not great. Saying they're overwhelming is putting it mildly, but the bosses have been changed to be much more fair and a lot more fun with more interesting attack patterns. That and general quality of life improvements. The only disappointment is I still haven't got the Platinum Trophy because you need to be good at the original Pac-Man for one of them, and I am not, so rip me! Woo! Before we continue with the list, I think it's only fair to talk about a couple of games that came out last year that I only got round to playing this year. Hot Wheels Unleashed makes your childhood real, playing on authentic looking Hot Wheels tracks with the authentic cars we played with as kids, plus it's actually really good, genuine bliss right here. Disc Room is nuts. Dodge saw blades, that's the entire game. It's as insane as it looks, and you wouldn't think they'd be able to come up with like 100 different gimmicks for escaping saw blades, but they did. Wavetail came out on Stadia last year, and now that that's dying, it's released elsewhere, and oh my gosh, the movement is up there with some of the most fun I've had in recent years. It's such a satisfying game for how fast and versatile you are. Plus, the platforming is really great too. Tales of Arise. Oh wow. If I had played this last year, this might have been my game of the year. I had to travel to the UK for a week, so I thought this would be a fun game to record for content whilst I'm away. I only need 7 videos, that's not too much work on short notice. I recorded for 6 hours a day for 3 days straight because I couldn't stop playing. Tales of Arise had truly arisen something in me. I returned from the UK and recorded the entire game in under 2 weeks. So I had about 2 months worth of content which I made into a bonus third video a day. That was 80 hours worth. Each video was easily an hour long, some cases more than that. Yes, suffice to say I was in love with this game. The art style, the story, the gameplay, the world, the characters, the music, everything. I cannot listen to the credits theme Blue Moon without crying. This is a game that hit me in a way I wasn't expecting and cannot recommend it enough. You owe it to yourself to experience this. Alrighty, back to the list, and we are here with a roguelite game. Eyes in the Dark is such an underrated game. I hadn't heard about it until seeing a trailer on launch day and was just like, oh, okay, I need this game. There's always this great fear of the dark, of the unknown, and this game proves it's justified. Eyes in the Dark, like all great roguelites, is not easy, and you're going to need to build up your skills from multiple failed attempts. But do not be discouraged, you'll get through it. Okay, maybe you should be a little bit discouraged. The light switch is right there, you just needed to flip. Come on! I've been waiting for the day when we'd finally see Mario Odyssey clones, and here one is. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is an ambitious game, remaking the entirety of the first 7 episodes and adding 8 and 9 for the complete package. Remaking the original LEGO Star Wars games was always going to be a tough task, given how iconic they were in setting up the LEGO games we see today, but they absolutely nailed it. So many more gameplay options, the planets and space stations are larger than life and so beautiful to explore. As a Star Wars fan, it feels exhilarating with hundreds of characters to unlock and play as, plenty of references to discover, and over 1,000 Kyjbuzz bricks to collect. Yeah, it's a lot. The bricks are not that hard to collect for the most part. It's completing a little task, or a puzzle, or sucking Palpatine's dick as Anakin. Whatever it may be, it's straightforward and fun, just like Mario Odyssey. Moons are simple, it's a little task, or a puzzle, or struggling to give yourself a hand job as a dinosaur. Harvestella promoted itself as part farming sim, part action RPG, and it certainly is that. I'll be honest, I haven't finished this game. I'm not even close, but I absolutely adore it. It's one of those games that just makes you happy. It may not be the most in-depth combat or the greatest story either, but it's really fun and I feel really good playing it. I find it hard to get into games like Animal Crossing. They're good for a week and then I just get bored. Nothing against the game or the genre at all, it's just me. That's why Disney Dreamlight Valley isn't on this list, because I think it's pretty cool and some people will love the grind, it's just not for me. But that element of the game is not at the forefront. It's important, of course, but there's so many other threads pulling me forward and I'm really excited to continue them. Also, the soundtrack is beautiful, it's definitely worth a listen. The Entropy Centre is the next Portal, and that is not a statement I make lightly. Interesting story? Check. Trapped inside a facility? Check. Evil robots, which also look kinda cute? Oh, check. Sassy ally? Check. Fun puzzle mechanic, which adds more concepts as the game goes on? Yeah, you see where I'm going. Instead of portals, you're using a rewind time gun, and that has so much potential, it's incredible. It's all about working backwards, and honestly, that might be why this isn't higher on the list. This game is incredibly difficult at points, at least it was for me. But there's so much content here, I'd say close to 100 puzzle rooms, and your friend, who's also the gun you're using, is so charming, funny, condescending, and adorable. It's hard not to love everything about this game. Yes, it takes leaves out of Portal's book, but it scatters them between so many new trees that it's its own thing. Okay, excuse me, when did EA become the voice of reason all of a sudden? Need for Speed Unbound released on December 2nd this year, but was only announced in October. Yes, less than 2 months to release. And with Jedi Survivor, they only revealed gameplay 3 months before release. The hell is going on? Genuinely, I can't believe I'm saying this, massive respect to EA for starting to turn it around. Oh right, we're talking about a game. Need for Speed Unbound is the best Need for Speed game in a decade. The story and cast are fun to interact with, the driving is super fun as it should be, the city is awesome to explore, the cops are genuinely a terrifying threat when you have a high heat, and oh my god, this game is a visual delight. There's this whole graffiti aesthetic, like smoke when you drift and wings when you're going really fast or in a jump. The multiple art styles blend really well, and it shouldn't make a big deal, but it really does make the game a whole lot more satisfying. Well done, Criterion and EA, keep it up. Hey, we're back to the honourable mentions section. This time, it's Fangames. Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit is a remake of Sonic Triple Trouble, if you can believe it. I know, what gave it away? What an astonishing glow-up this is. It feels like an authentic Sonic game. Seriously, Sega, just hire these people to make games for you. The fans truly understand how to make Sonic feel good. And speaking of, we're not moving away from Sonic. Still in the 2D realm, Sonic and the Fallen Star is a truly unique Sonic game with brand new levels and concepts, and again, I absolutely love it. These games are free, so there is no reason not to try them. Alright, one more Sonic game. Sonic World DX is a ridiculous project. It's recreating iconic levels with new sections and challenges and making most of the Sonic cast playable. Each character, as you'd expect, feels totally different. Some glitches are still around as it's such an ambitious project, but it's so fun to try these classic stages with new characters. Plus, there's new stages, a Chow Garden, and a level editor too, so we'll be seeing a lot more of this game in the future. One of the weirdest and best mods I've played is Mario 64 in Tomb Raider. It makes Tomb Raider feel like a brand new game, and it's pretty fun, I've gotta say. Link in the description to try all of these out. OMORI Reverie is a mod that provides brand new chapters to the game. It takes place after the good ending, no spoilers in this video, and I'm so impressed with how much they've done. Brand new areas, enemies, bosses, dialogue, music, and more that feels like it is truly a continuation. The OMORI modding community is fantastic, and I can't wait to play future chapters, and also other mods later down the line. Finally, I want to talk about a Super Mario World ROM hack. There are plenty to talk about each year, but this is the one that really stood out to me. Super Mario World Central Production 2. If you've been part of Super Mario World Central in the past decade, you might be aware that this hack has been a looming shadow over every community member. A juggernaut of a project that has been through hell and back to get to this point. There's still a little more work to go, but the game has been released in a complete state, and it's wonderful to finally play it after seeing the trouble that's gone into development over the past decade. To everyone who's contributed to this hack over the years, big or small, thank you. I loved this game, and I'm sure so many others did too. Welcome to the next instance of, well, wasn't there a lot of great games this year? Splatoon 3 is probably my favourite of the trilogy. With each new game, it takes what it already has and iterates on it more. It's more of the same joyous fun, but it has definitely taken a leaf out of Splatoon 2's DLC with its story mode. The levels are a lot more like quickfire gimmicks, and there's a lot of these levels, but they're all fantastic. I don't think there's a lot more I need to say about Splatoon 3. It's just excellent paint spraying turf warfare, and I hope I drown you in my paint when we're on the battlefield. Lil Gator Game is easily the cutest 3D platformer ever made. You are a little gator recruiting everyone on the island to play a big game in the playground, and everything about it is pure, wholesome perfection. There's so much variety as it pokes fun at protagonist tropes, as much as it embraces it, and it's all so cute. This game is a delight from start to finish, so if you like cute things, or if you like excellent feeling 3D platformers, or delightful RPGs where your quests involve collecting toys and paper, then this game is for you. Trombone Champ is one of the silliest games I've ever played, and I say that in the best way. In essence, Trombone Champ is a simple concept. A rhythm game, but the only instrument is a trombone. Make the main character look like a me that's recently gone through some trauma, and you've got a winning combination. But the modding community, oh my gosh, what a community! Applying mods is incredibly easy, and there's already over 1,000 1,000 songs, some of which has custom stuff going on. Because of this, I don't think we'll ever see the end of this game. The best thing about this game is definitely getting notes wrong. An out-of-pitch trombone has no right to be as funny as it is, but it is every single time, and now you can play it wrong to some of your favourite songs. What's not to love? Imagine if you could go back in time to when Pokeballs were barely a thing. Like 1995 or something? Oh, further back, really? The 80s? Yeah, that's the one. Literally 80 AD. Pokemon Legends Arceus is so different despite being so similar. Game Freak are trying to dip their toe into the waters of open world, and as a first go, it's pretty cool. It's not total open world, more like open zones, I guess, as it's 5 areas and you have to load into them. But to be fair, they're all pretty big. This is set 1,300 to 2,300 years before our time in the Sinnoh region, and I love this concept. It's so cool to see areas I recognise but in an entirely different setting. Seeing Spear Pillar intact was surreal. What sets it apart is that it's a lot more hands-on than other Pokemon games, as you craft the Pokeballs yourself out of materials. You utilise stealth to capture Pokemon, and even get sliced up finally into 74 even pieces in combat! It's fine. You'll be fine. You didn't need that hand, right? Or that piece of liver. Or your head. You'll be fine! Whilst it does have some glaring limitations, it's a solid first attempt, and despite that, it's such a fun game. But it wasn't the only Pokemon game to release this year. Huh. I wonder if that'll show up somewhere later in the video. It's Kibble! The Corb! Cab! Our main blob of destiny! But in 3D! Kirby and the Forgotten Lands takes everyone's favourite kinks and gives it form with Kirby's new suck and blow abilities. Some people like to screw cars. Well, make Kirby a car. Some people like a huge wind condom. Well, make Kirby a huge wind. In all seriousness, this is a stunning 3D platformer. Each new world has new twists and turns and amazing gameplay and level design, and there's so much to collect throughout the game to give you more reasons to keep coming back. That's right, all your kink shames, but in collectible form. Kirby always delivers. It's time for the final honourable mentions block. This time, DLC. Fall Guys became a free-to-play game, but that unfortunately comes with some caveats. Whilst the game has never been better, it unfortunately is saddled with in-game purchases, so if you want to get any cool costumes, you have to buy it with real money now. Which, I'm not gonna lie, really sucks. Cuphead: The Delicious Last Course is absolute perfection. Everyone in the development team upped their game and made what I consider to be some of the best bosses in the game. Plus, they added Miss Chalice as a playable character, which adds something new to the existing bosses. As of writing this, they've exceeded 2 million sales on the DLC alone, which is so wonderful to hear. Studio Moldenhauer, whatever you work on next, I will play it. I don't care what it is, I will be hyped for it. And finally, Mario Kart 8. The highest selling Switch game got a massive DLC pack of 48 tracks to be released over the span of 2 years. If you haven't played Mario Kart Tour, then now you have no need to, as all of those tracks are coming here. Plus all the old favourites. Sure, not every single track will be here, but with a whopping 96 by the end, it's a fantastic selection of the best Mario Kart has to offer. But, with that said, it's time. My top 10 games of 2022. Let's go! Is that 6 protagonists talking over each other? Then it can only be Xenoblade Chronicles 3! The Xenoblade Chronicles series is renowned for its engaging epic story with lovable British protagonists, superb combat, stunning settings, and its gorgeous music. This game is amazing. I love everything about it. But truthfully, I've only played about half the game. This game is massive. I've put in well over 50 hours and I feel like I've barely touched upon a lot of this game. It's very likely I'll change my mind and put it higher when I've finished it, but for now it's not fair to put it higher given I don't know what half the game is like. I think it's a testament to how great it is that it's in the top 10 despite that. Sonic Frontiers is a mess. I love it. Sonic has branched out into open world, and it works. Sort of. This is the most ROM hack-like game I have ever played. There's just stuff floating everywhere, but it all flows really well. It shouldn't though. On paper, this stuff should all fail and it shouldn't be fun, but this game kinda rules. Sonic gets sent through like 4 towers and should be dead, but there's nary a scratch. Then at the end of each island, he goes supersonic, and oh my god, they did supersonic in a 3D space well. Does this game have problems? Oh god, yes, but something about it made me so happy the whole way through. I don't do fishing with Big the Cat for like 3 hours for no reason. The game's doing something right. I've also made it no secret I love verticality in level design, and there's a lot of that, but the 4th island is just 6 ridiculously tall towers, whilst the music builds and builds and builds, and it's honestly one of my favourite gaming moments this year. Those 30 minutes felt euphoric. Sure, I would have preferred that to be the gauntlet before the final boss, but we can quibble on that another time. As Sonic's first foray into open world, it's a good start. I look forward to seeing how fun Attempt 2 is. Earlier this year, I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything. I was in the mindset of wanting to experience the story through Remake, Rebirth, and whatever the 3rd game will be. But something kept calling me to the original game. If you're in 2 minds about it, play the original game. It's important and has so many twists and turns I never expected. Besides, the remake trilogy is looking like it's going to do something crazy, so you're technically not spoiling the experience by playing the original. I'll tell you what's crazy about the original though. You can entirely skip learning about Zack. Zack Fair is our protagonist for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and it takes place before Cloud's story. Their paths intertwine somewhere, if you know, you know, but I won't go into that here. If you're unaware, this was originally a PSP game, but this is not a remake. It's more of a fancy remaster, as it has a couple of quality of life updates and changes the menu and UI to be in keeping with Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I like a lot. Crisis Core's main goal is to make you feel giddy when cameos show up, and also to cry hard at the ending. And yeah, it succeeds. It's a really fun game though. Being a PSP game originally, it was limited, so whilst the game's story isn't massive, it gets past that by having 300 missions! Yeah, these are little bite-sized missions that yields all sorts of rewards. Some are simple, others will break you, but you'll have a good time in the process. Unless you started going for all the missions on hard difficulty. Why did I do this? The secret boss has 20 million HP! What am I doing? Hey, I'm a kitty cat with a meow 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 and a meow meow. Run! Oh my god, run! Jesus Christ! So, Stray. Stray is a phenomenal game. You're a cat, it's freaking adorable, you will do cute cat things, you will balance on railings just because you can, it's strangely fun, I now see why cats do it, you will ride in a bucket, you will befriend robots, you will jam out to cyber folk music, you will run from the hordes of evil, you will mash that meow button, you will put a bag over your head. Did I mention the hordes of evil? Stray is a masterpiece. I loved it. Play it for yourself. It is worth all of your time. If not only because you get to be a cat, this is the closest you will feel. You know that meme, you really feel like Spider-Man? You really feel like a cat. It is wonderful.
It seems I'm unfashionably late, but I'm ready to give you everything you want.
And she delivers. That right there, as she says, is everything fans have been waiting for 5 years. Bayonetta 3 is just as ridiculous as its predecessors, but you've got to move with the times, you've got to raise the stakes. So let's introduce, I don't know, the multiverse? I mean, there's not really any higher stakes than that, right? I'm not going to spoil what this game goes and does, but I love it so much. There's so much more variety for gameplay, there's throwbacks to things from the previous games, and also...
My name is Viola. V-I-O-L fucking A. Viola.
Oh yeah, Bayonetta isn't the only playable character. Viola is such a fun addition to the cast, full of energy and raring to go. The finale of gaming trilogies has a lot of hype to live up to, especially in the case where we've been waiting for so long, but Bayonetta 3 truly delivered on every promise, and I hope this isn't the last we've seen of Bayonetta. Whenever you're ready to spring into action to save the universe, I'll be there by your side. I'm also raring to go. Alright, no messing around, we're in the top 5. Tinykin is like Pikmin mixed with Paper Mario. But whilst that's a great way to simply describe Tinykin, it would be doing the game a great disservice, as it's so much more than that. You're tiny, exploring a human house that's home to many unique tiny species who have taken the home as their own, revering the original homeowner as a deity. Being tiny, exploring this massive house is such a delight, as you know exactly what kind of things you'll expect to find, and because of that, exploration has never been more satisfying. You have a soap skateboard to move around quickly on, and you have your Tinykin friends that each have different abilities depending on your colour. The pink will pick things up for you, the green will create a ladder, which isn't as overpowered as it sounds, the blue will connect electricity, the yellow can form bridges, and the red explodes. Oh. RIP, I think. The controls are perfect. The exploration is some of the most satisfying I've ever experienced, and I could not put this game down. I started playing it at night, stopped after a couple hours to go to bed, and played it until completion the next day. The developers are geniuses, and I cannot wait to see what they make in the future, because I will absolutely be there day one. Tinykin is on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, don't pass it up. Horizon Forbidden West somehow is a better game than Horizon Zero Dawn. And I say somehow, because how do you really improve on a near perfect game? But Guerrilla Games absolutely nailed it. I'll concede that I don't think the story is as good, but I'm not saying that as a criticism. I think that would actually be an impossible task, and the story had me so hooked from the first second, so no complaints here. This world is a masterclass in design, from the exploration to the puzzles and collectibles scattered to the new and improved enemies. Did you think you had seen the worst of the machines? Oh, think again. They're more deadly than ever. There's so many surprises to be revealed in this game. It's honestly hard to show footage without spoiling things, because the secrets the game holds are worth discovering for yourself. I don't think I have to say much more about this game, to be honest. Horizon Zero Dawn's legacy speaks for itself, and this game is better. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are very surprising games to me. This is the next step beyond Legends Arceus. This is truly an open world. The whole game is at your fingertips, you just have to reach out and choose a path, and also catch a couple hundred Pokemon along the way because it's very satisfying. Is this a perfect game? Absolutely not. It has draw distance issues, and that is a massive shame, but I also do not in any way care. I love Pokemon. Always have, always will. The new Pokemon in this game are some of my favourites of all time, and I'm so proud of the team I befriended. They're so cool, and we had one heck of a journey together. So why is this so high on the list? Well, as I said, it's Pokemon. Almost every game, despite its limitations, has a sort of charm that's hard to ignore. Scarlet and Violet have one more thing going for them, however. Nostalgia. How is it possible to create nostalgia when it's brand new? Well, I'll tell you. The anime. When I was a kid, I'd watch episodes and Ash and whoever was joining him would be like, "Oh my gosh, look, there's the city! Let's spend an episode trying to get to it." And then they'd arrive at the end of the episode and be like, "Oh my gosh, this place is huge, let's spend 3 episodes in the gym because I'm gonna lose it and I'm gonna need to learn a lesson. But it also gives Brock time to find a brothel and stuff." Well, this feels exactly like that. Overlooking a city from a cliff, you get to play those scenes from so long ago. I got to feel that excitement in-game in a way the series has never been able to create before. Plus, you know, it's just a really, really good game regardless. I'm looking forward to seeing what Game Freak does next. Hopefully they'll give themselves plenty of time to make a brand new region that's even more exciting than this one. I have a feeling this is only just the beginning. Surprise! God of War Ragnarok is not my number 1. God of War Ragnarok is an absolute masterpiece of a game. I laughed, I cried, I raged, I got scared, and I loved every second of this game. Sony chose to show very little of this game leading up to it, and I'm glad. They didn't need to. God of War's reputation stands for itself. They could have literally showed no gameplay or story, and it would have been fine. We know what the previous game was like. It's more of that, is it? Cool, I'm all in. Except it's obviously not just more of the same, it's so much more. More abilities, more realms to visit, more variety in every category, and oh my gosh, the story. So many times did I freak out at what was happening. Like with Horizon, I don't need to say much more than this. The legacy and footage speaks volumes. Santa Monica have managed to outdo themselves and create another masterpiece, capable of being a gold standard that other companies should strive for. In my eyes, there's no higher praise. Babylon's Fall. Okay, let me tell you what a disastrous history this game had. By the way, these are fake number ones if you're new here. This is not my favourite game. Babylon's Fall was teased a couple years ago as a Platinum Games game, and that alone was enough to get people excited. But then the gameplay came out and it was fine, nothing bad, but I wouldn't say I was frothing at the mouth to play it. As each new trailer released, it looked a little more promising, but there was one final nail in the coffin. It's online only. Platinum Games' new president, Atsushi Inaba, in an interview in February stated that they wanted to focus more on live service games that can be enjoyed by people for a longer period of time. Well, 1 month later, on March 3rd, Babylon's Fall would release as their first foray into this idea, and it went bad. Besides the game just being super bland and obviously requiring online, which is not what people expected from the game given Platinum Games' reputation and caliber for superb single-player experiences, on Steam, on launch day, there were only 1,166 concurrent players. In May, there was just one single person was left playing the game. Oh, Jesus Christ! That is atrocious. That's in the span of 2 months. They later announced that it would be shutting down its online service, rendering the game literally unplayable as of February 2023. Literally less than a year after launch. This is the problem with games like this. Eventually the game will die, and that sucks for players. Okay, maybe not in this case because literally no one gives a toss, but what an absolute mess! Oh look, it's NFTs, hooray! They sprang to life this year, and I'm not in any way qualified to talk about them, but what a tremendous waste of money and resources they are. Why people are actually giving a fuck about them, I have no idea. It feels like the biggest scam in the world, and some people are making ludicrous amounts of money, and others are pissing it away. Let's take a look at a company like, I don't know, off the top of my Square Enix. They sold 50 Western IPs to Embracer Group for $300 million. Now, the upside to this is Embracer Group actually seems to be alright. They run THQ, among many others, and they've been remastering and breathing new life into IPs, so maybe we might actually see Gex return if Square Enix sold that. Please let that happen. But Square Enix also sold Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider for only $300 million? Are you insane? And then they threw away 49 other IPs with it? Last we heard, they were making a new Tomb Raider for Unreal Engine 5, but that was before this whole thing happened. They said they were selling these IPs to try and focus on NFTs, just as the NFT market started crashing, as it was always inevitably going to. I thought people in business were supposed to be smart. Fucking hell, what are you doing? Alright, enough of this. That's the bullshit fake number one's over with. Let's get to my personal favourite game of 2022. There are very few games like Tunic, a game where I keep thinking about it unintentionally. It just keeps popping back, because this game, for me, is perfect. I've been waiting for Tunic for over 5 years. I knew about it back when it was called Secret Legend. All I really knew is its gameplay is kinda like some Zelda titles. Instead of Link, you're an adorable fox in a tunic. With the most breathtaking art style. How it wasn't even a contender for best art at the Game Awards, I'll never know. So yeah, beyond that, I didn't really know what I was getting into. Little about the game was shown, just enough to get people hyped, because it did not reveal the big picture. Or should I say, tiny game manual. Throughout the game, you collect pieces of the game manual. These will be used to point you in the right direction. As you collect pages, you learn what your abilities are. Wait, what? I could have upgraded my stats all this time? Really? This concept is genius, because this is only so effective because game manuals are dead now. Look at Nintendo Switch boxes. Look at all this wasted space and plastic. It is a travesty. Manuals used to give you hidden lore or just look super cool, and now they're gone. But this revitalizes them in the best way. The manual literally tells you everything. No, really, everything. Every secret location, every puzzling answer, it's all here, staring you in the face. You just need to work out what it's trying to hint at. There's even a complex, unique language which is entirely decipherable. I personally didn't, but my friend spent a couple days doing it, as did a massive community of people online. Tunic is really interesting because for the most part it's an action combat game, but once you've unlocked the bad ending, if you want to get the good ending, it becomes a pure puzzle game. And that puzzle is both the manual and the world. The developer Andrew Souldiers and his team are geniuses. This kind of game is an inspirational marvel that only comes along once in a while by people who not only understand the beauty of intrigue, the fundamentals of good design, but know how to make it flow so perfectly that it makes you never want to stop playing until you work it all out. I haven't even talked about the spellbinding soundtrack by Lifeformed X Janice Kwan. It's incredibly rare that I love every single song, especially from a soundtrack with over 60 songs, but I do. They nail the aesthetic and the mystery perfectly. There's so many more things I could talk about, like the depth of the combat, the slickness of the UI. Let me gush about the graphics more, please. The hidden lore that's everywhere. These freaking doors! Oh my god, when you work it all out, it will blow your mind! Tunic is one of the most impressive games I've ever played. It's free on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, you have no reason not to play it right now. If you like what you see here, buy it, play it. If you play it, please don't look up the solutions to the puzzles. Persevere. Have a pencil and paper to write things down. Connect the dots yourself. It is worth it. Is there more to Tunic's story beyond this game? I have no idea. I hope so. But either way, Tunic is the next indie in a long line of indies to change the gaming industry. I hoped for a fun romp. I received a masterpiece that I can't stop thinking about 9 months on. Thank you to everyone who worked on Tunic. You made my year better. And thank you for watching! Oh my gosh, this is a big video. Let me look at the audio. How long is it so far? Oh, I've been recording audio for 53 minutes. Oh, this is going to be a long one to edit. But no, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a like, subscribe, share the video around as much as you can. I also have a Twitch, a Twitter, and a Patreon if you'd like to support me in the channel. And I also have a second channel dedicated to just these kinds of videos and highlight videos. And you might be watching this on the second channel right now. I don't know. This is going up in both places. Tell me, what was your favourite game of the year? Was it something I mentioned? Was it a game I didn't play? I'd love to know. There were so many amazing games. Yeah, it could have been anyone I mentioned. It could be stuff like Elden Ring or Mario plus Rabbids. I wouldn't be surprised. But seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next year for new content. Take care. Bye-bye.